This is the fifth small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti at Brockwood Park, 1970.
I wonder if we could discuss, together, seriously, and go into it pretty thoroughly, the question of looking at the whole of life, at life as a whole, all the activities, the contradictions, the dualistic struggles, the me and the not me, the good and the bad, the Labour Party and the Conservatives. And God and the devil and so on, this whole question of looking at everything as a whole movement. And perhaps in discussing that, talking over together, we might be able to find out how to live in this world, what the implications of meditation and all the rest of it, relationship. I think if we could get the real understanding of that, most of our problems will be resolved. At least I feel that way. Would that be worthwhile, sir, if we discuss that? What do you say? I don't know.
Yeah, please. Yes,
please. We have divided ourselves as the body, the spirit, the intellect, and the emotions. The world and me, the community and me, seeking truth as something apart from me, the family and me, the everlasting division. And in this division, I feel all our problems exist. And is it possible to live in this, not in this world, to live without this division, to look at everything as a whole? Do you think that would be worthwhile to discuss? Please, you can discuss anything you want. Shall we discuss that? Would it be?
I think if we do discuss that, we might also cover the question of whether it is possible for us, having polished our self-esteem all these years, to get beyond the limits of the self.
We're going to find that out, sir. Shall we really discuss this? Would it be of interest? Oh, I don't know what you feel. How shall we approach this question? One asks oneself, I don't know if you do, at least one should, how to look, how to feel, how to live with a non-dualistic outlook. The intellect, with its division, has a great deal of energy. And it brings about its own division. And in that division, there is a great deal of fun, great deal of so-called creativeness, and a certain amount of delight. Isn't there? Please, share with me. I don't want to go on. And emotionally, too, in this division between the intellect and the emotion, there is great excitement, enthusiasm, a sense of driving energy. And that's fun too. But each brings its own problems, its own conflicts, and its own destructive sorrows and pleasures. And there is the physical abandonment, with all the senses in play, highly refined, if one is refined, if the body is refined, that has its own vitality, its own enjoyment. And there are these three divisions in oneself, conscious or unconscious, each pulling in a different direction. Each inventing its own purposes, its own methods and disciplines and contradictions. And that's our life. Calling it good and bad, its pleasures and delights and enjoyments and all the rest of it. And the center of it all is a purposive memory which is ever expanding, asserting, aggressive, violent, and so on. And this center divides, or rather, his center is always dividing, comparing, conforming, suppressing, accepting a pattern and rejecting another pattern. And one is aware of all this, in every field of life there is this division: the artist, the scientist, the bureaucrat, the wife, the husband, the sovereignty of nations, the limitations of the individuality and the community, the endless division. Now, can a mind which is so divided, so contradictory, can a mind of that kind perceive the wholeness of life? So don't go to sleep over this, please. And if obviously it cannot, then what is it to do? After all, relationship is based on this division. One shouldn't ever talk about relationship, really, if you come to think of it. Because in that, the problems of relationships are the problems of division. And to try to find out a right kind of relationship, or to understand relationship, is to sustain, isn't it, this division. So, in taking all that in, the factual division, green and black and white and blue, at one level, the feeling of good and bad, the fears, the anxieties, the contradictoriness of our life and so on, taking the whole of it, looking at it all. Is it possible for the mind to look at all this as a total, a movement of non-dividing movement? I don't know how to put it. What do you say, please? Now, if it is not possible, what shall we do? What shall the mind do that is broken up, that is contradictory, verbally, factually, and inwardly, deeply it feels this tearing division. And therefore never can see the whole of the universe, the whole of mankind as one. Please ask, what shall we do? How shall we look at all this as a total movement and not a separate, fragmentary movement, and so bringing tremendous problems with it? Please, would you help? You must have thought about this or felt about it and used a word like love, or said to oneself, oh, it's utterly impossible. Only some gifted person has this peculiar quality of a total feeling. And so one makes it an impossibility, and therefore one rejects it right off. So if it is your problem, and it must be, taking the wars, the divisions between people, the divisions between man and woman, all the travail of relationship, taking all that in, looking at it all, how do you answer this question, this problem?
Start with yourself, because you start with yourself. You realise that the problems in the world.
Yes, my lady, we've said that. Now you start with, how do you come to this feeling of totality? If one has that outlook on life, surely all the problems come to an end. Because in that there is no comparison, no imitation, no conflict at all, and therefore no violence. So it must be a problem to you. And how do you answer it?
One tries to eliminate.
Viban?
One tries to eliminate what one's known.
One tries to eliminate what one knows. Who is the eliminator? Who does the washing out the brain and the mind?
Perhaps we're there already, and we're doing things. Doing things is the mistake we make.
One cannot assume that we are like that already. How can one assume anything? The fact is, actually what is this division. If you go very, very, very deeply into oneself, rather cautiously and inquiring, you'll find there is always this division, this searching, this seeking implies division. Everybody, all the great so-called religious organizations have faced this problem. And so they have invented all kinds of theories. The super self, super consciousness, the soul, God, the higher self and the lower self. You've been, all this stuff. This endless division. And the endless conflict involved in it. The goal, the purpose, a principle, the idealism, the striving after. All that implies a contradiction and a division. Knowing all that, that is the absolute fact, that is what is, without distorting all that, both objectively and subjectively, outwardly and inwardly. What is one to do? Don't please answer by a theory. One should, one must, if. All those are conditional responses which have no meaning at all when you are faced with this enormous problem.
If one sees this whole problem and then looking at it, can one do something? Can you, because the minute you say, I'm going to do something, what is this? It's the same thing, isn't it?
So there is the problem in front of you. You are the problem. And then what? I was listening the other day on the television. One of the archbishops was saying, when he was being interviewed, that all the religions have truth, but their particular religion had the unique quality of Jesus. And there it was. complete dualistic attitude. And all the writers, all the artists, the scientists in their own way, even in science itself, there is this cleavage, this division. Everything we touch seems to divide. And breed hatred, antagonism, every form of strife. We know this. I don't know how much you know it, not intellectually, but actually you know it. We know it. In our heart, in our blood, with our minds. And what do we do with it? How shall we resolve this thing?
So one sees that the fountainhead of this is this purpose, this being purposeful.
What's that?
Being purposeful seems to be the fountainhead of this tendency to division.
I can't quite hear.
Being purposeful seems to be the fountainhead.
The same thing, they're purposeful. Have a purpose. Have a goal. Have an end. The structural linguistic structure is divisive. We know all this. Then what? How do you answer this question? How do you resolve this problem? Or it is inevitable. The national divisions, the religious differences, the differences in social structure, the artist, the scientist, the bureaucrat, the housewife, the creative writer, you follow? We accept that and live like that way. If that is all, then what is the meaning of existence? Just striving, struggling? Please do take part in this.
One must then try and accept.
One
must then just try and accept that there is this division and look at it.
We are looking at it. There is no need to accept it, is there? It is there. I don't have to accept my nose. It is there.
I don't understand the equation of the word fact and the word problem.
Leave the word fact and problem. The thing exists, there's division.
Right, why is that a problem?
Why is it? Use another word. Don't let's get stuck by a word, problem. We won't use the word problem. We'll say there is this conflict. There is this division. And in division there is no good. Goodness is non-divisible. That is, goodness is where there is no division. The very word goodness means that.
Where is the division? Outside or inside, or where is this division?
Vivan?
Where is this division? Is it within or is it without?
It's both outside and inside. The Conservative Party and the Labour Party, they have been at it, one has won, and poor old the other fellow goes out the back door. It's terrible, all this. One is greatly rejoicing, and the other fellow sneaks out. It's appalling to live that way.
Our question is, can this division end?
You may not feel for the man who goes out the back door, and rejoice for the man who comes in the front door. But the two are to live that way in life, to be identified with either. You know, this is happening all the world over. And inside, look, the struggles that are going on between what is considered the good and what is considered the bad, the ambitions and the frustrations and the despair, it's all inside and outside. Wanting to fulfill, to be somebody, and then being nobody, and the pain of it all. It may not be a problem. It is there. And looking at it both outwardly and inwardly, can the mind be free of this division? Freedom means a state of a quality of mind which has no division in itself. So I come to you and say, please help me.
Sir, how can you resolve division if you don't understand it?
How can you resolve this division if you don't understand it? I do understand it. It is there. I understand very well the intellectual division, the conceit, the pride of the intellect, and all its activity and works. I know it, I've seen it. And also I've seen the poor man who goes out of the back door. Helpless, despair, miserable, been turned out. I understand it, I see it in myself, in yourself you see it. And do we understand it intellectually by looking at it, theorizing about it, giving 1,000 explanations why it is this way? And is understanding the same as explanation?
No. Understanding, you can't speak about it if you understand.
If I understand, now let's take that up a little bit. When you say understand something, what do you mean? What do we mean by that? I understand. One says, I understand that. What do we mean by it?
It's clear.
Huh?
That you feel it inside. Something you feel, but
What is that feeling inside? How does it happen?
an awareness.
You see, what do you mean by that word?
It's something you can't describe, you just know.
I think we can. Please don't say we can't. Let's go into, let's find out. I understand danger. I understand fire burns. I understand violence, what it has done in the world. And yet I am violent. The violence goes on. So what do we mean by that word? understand? Is it an intellectual, verbal, conceptual perception? No, then what is it?
An emotion?
Go into it, madam, go into it.
We do use that word for the intellectual.
We generally use that word intellectually, don't we? Yeah, but that means, again, division, you follow? Then is that understanding? A verbal comprehension, is that really understanding? Look, sir, I understand there is this national division. Let's take a very simple fact. National division. With all its pride, conceit, and all the rest of it. And one observes it, and one sees one of the causes of this awful, monstrous, brutal wars is nationality. And we understand that intellectually. See, yes, I see the cause of it, one of the causes of it. And there are 10 different causes. Economic, social, all the rest of it. When we use the word understand, do we take all the causes and look at them and say, finished. I'm through with all that nationality. Never touch it again.
It's trying to reach the core of the whole thing.
How do you reach the core?
I'm going to say through this feeling again. It's something one can't explain in words. It's an enveloping of the whole.
Madam, I want to be helped. You follow? I come to you, or somebody comes to you and say, please, resolve this problem. We are human beings. We must resolve this. I want to understand. Understand in the real sense, not intellectually. That's garbage. There's nothing to do with understanding.
I don't think one can trust one's feelings either, sir.
No, sir. That's what I'm saying. Again, there is a division. So let's go into this question of understanding, sir. What do we mean by that? When you see something true, do you say you understand it?
It has to be experienced emotion. It has to be experienced.
It has to be experienced. Oh, that's... Who is going to experience it? You see that such words are linguistically, it divides, isn't it? To experience. So do please consider for a moment, what do we mean by understanding? One sees the truth, I'm using the word truth purposely, truth that all organized religions, with all their circus, with all their show, has nothing to do with reality. That's the truth of it. I understood it. It is in my blood, you understand? It is so. And I don't belong to any. And seeing that has liberated the mind from organized belief. Seeing the truth of it. Now, how does it see the truth of it? Is it a rationalizing process, an intellectual investigation, an intimation of the dangers of division, therefore I will do this, an emotional response?
It's an action of awareness.
An action of awareness. Is it?
Or an action of seeing.
Sir, do go look at it, sir. Do look at it. How do you see, how does the mind see the totality of that thing? All the implications involved in this organized, dividing religious beliefs and dogmas and all the rest of it, immense propaganda. See the whole of it at one glance and free of it, completely with one breath. That is understanding. And therefore it has nothing whatever to do with conceptual imagination. It is not the result of reasoning. You can reason afterwards. See the logic of it very clearly. But how does the mind see the totality of it and the truth of it, and therefore the liberating factor of it?
You have to have a clear mind that's untrammeled by prejudice or notion to be able to see it.
No, you're...
That form of understanding comes from a mind that's completely changed.
Completely?
Changed.
Sane. Hold
Changed.
the word.
Completely changed.
Changed.
Completely changed.
Changed.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Because it's in the... I bet this is an opposite in what I say. It is in a different state from the state which believes in religion. It's a total change. The mind which believes in religion cannot understand because it's in one involuntary passive state. And the mind which understands the fatuity of a multiplicity of religions is in a totally different state, which is understanding.
So, look at it. How does it happen? How did it happen if you have changed, not being personal? How did it happen to you? Suddenly you see this. And you say, finished. From that moment you're out. It may not be of religious division, it may be something else. How does that happen? I think if we could go into that little bit, we might be able to answer the larger question.
Seems to happen when the mind is empty. The only time I can remember is when there seems nothing. It
Now
just
look,
happens.
when the mind is empty.
When there seems nothingness.
No, madam, it's one of the more... Do go into it, madam. How does this happen that the mind is empty? When the mind is the result of time, is the result of 1,000 experiences, conditioned by society, by culture, by one's own, etc., and so on, conditioned, how can such a mind be empty?
There are such moments.
Wait, go slowly. There are such moments. See the danger of such a statement. I know there are such moments. When such moments, the mind sees the truth of it, and other moments it does not, then there is a conflict between that which the mind has seen a truth and in the darkness. So there's a battle. There's conflict. Therefore, it must be some quality of mind which permeates, which exists, I don't want to use word continues because it's time.
Is it not an intelligence that brings its own action?
So do go into it with me, will you please? Don't make a statement, that's all let's inquire. How do you see anything new?
When the field of the mind collapses.
What?
When the field of the mind collapses.
But one's mind is corrupted. So look, sir, the man who invented the jet, he must have known completely the internal combustion machinery engine. And there was a gap between the two, right? You're following this? The man who said, I know all about combustion machine, internal machine, and there must have been a state between knowledge and the unknown. Right? Are you meeting my point? And at that moment he saw something entirely different.
But the known is the field of the mind.
What's that?
The known is the field of the mind.
Yes, that is so, but I'm asking, look, how do you see anything new? Look, there is the newness when you discover that, when the mind discovers that all religions with their beliefs are most destructive, organized, suddenly sees it. And that is the truth. And is free from that moment. How does that happen?
One becomes part of it. Or becomes it.
But I'm asking, madam, how does it happen?
Sort of creators in it.
There is no voluntary action. It's like seeing the word poison on a bottle. You just, nothing you do voluntarily, the action takes place.
Can we put the question differently? How do you see the totality of anything, the wholeness of anything?
When appears an infinite dimension.
Huh?
When appears an infinite dimension in things.
Oh my Lord. Not when, if. Look.
You imply there is a constant when.
Look, sir, observe yourself. Please do experiment with this, do it. You see that you are in fragments, the contradictions, love and hate and violence and, all the contradictions. The center which divides, thought which divides, as pleasure as fear, as good as bad, this endless division which is oneself. How do you see the whole of it at one glance? Or must you look at it all in fragments and put them all together and see all of it? Do you see the totality of yourself? No?
What with?
Huh?
What with? You couldn't, because there'd be nothing to see it.
Wait, do you see? Yes, sir, wait, that's a question. We'll go into it in a minute. First, do you see it? Do you see, let's put it in more simply, do you see that you are broken up? Fragmentary. Now, wait, go slowly, please. Let's go slowly. Just go slowly into this. You see that you are broken up, fragmented. Mind, the body, the soul, this, your one desire opposing the other desire, your purpose, your goal, your ambition, your frustrations, your pleasure. You see it all broken up. Who sees it?
Fragment of the mind calling itself for me.
Be careful, sir. Be terribly honest. Don't repeat what see it. Don't repeat after somebody else. Do you actually see that one fragment of your mind sees the rest of the fragments? Huh?
Yes, it is.
Yes?
Each fragment sees itself.
I don't know, I'm asking you, sir. How do you look at it? How do you look at these various fragments, which is you? With your knowledge, with your particular specialized activity, your, all this, all of it, outward, inward. How do you look at it? With what eyes do you look at it? One fragment looking at all the other fragments?
When you see it, the you doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Why isn't there anymore when you look at it? Madam, do please be simple about it. We are trying to answer something without looking. Surely most of us look at ourselves with all the broken parts, with one of the fragments. Surely that's so obvious.
But that just creates more conflict.
Wait, that is not the point. How do we look at it, I'm asking. How do I look at myself?
Through your conditioning, where you're bringing up the process of the whole movement.
Sir, don't keep explaining. How do you look at yourself?
With your brain.
Huh?
With your brain.
With your brain, you mean with thought? Yeah. Now, what does that thought look at? When it looks, what does that thought say? What is the response of that thought when it looks at all the many fragments?
It condemns.
Now, wait a minute. Now, there it is. It condemns or it approves, right? Now, what is that thought which approves or disapproves?
Separation.
It's one of the fragments, isn't it? So thought is fragmentary. No? When I look at myself being these 1,000 broken parts, there is a censor that is looking and says, this is good, this I will keep, this I will reject. This I will pursue, and this I will destroy. This I will suppress, this I will, and so on, so on, so on. there is a censor in operation, isn't there? Huh? And the censor is looking. And the censor is one of the fragments. Right? Is that's simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, can there be an observation of all the fragments without the censor?
There can only be an observation of all the fragments.
What's that?
There surely can only be an observation of all the fragments without a censor.
Not surely, but do it. You're okay. Do it, sir. Find out.
We know the difference in taste between the two, between one fragment looking at other fragments and
Can the mind observe all this, aware of all this, without thought interfering with it? Thought, which is remembrance, memory, experience, which is all memory. All that, when that responds, it is thought. Can the mind look at these various fragments, including thought itself, without the censor, without division? As the observer and the observed. You understand my question? Now do we, huh?
That's our real problem, I think.
Yes, sir, that is the question. Now will you do it, sir, please? You're all explaining and come to the point, sir. Put your teeth into it. If and when you look at it that way, is there a total understanding the total understanding of this division, this fragmentation? So that the mind is free of all fragmentation. Then only one can use the word understand.
so. Even if the mind has seen these fragments and liberated itself from them, it starts anew and creates more fragments.
Oh. If it does it, it's like saying, I've seen the foolishness or the idiocy of various separative religious organizations and then go and join something else. Huh? It has no meaning.
I think it's the fear of emptiness that makes one can persist in the old habits.
You see, then there is no gap between action, between the doing, between thought and action. I don't know if you, huh? Are we meeting each other? No. Isn't our action broken up? That is, I have learned something from a series of activities which has given me an experience. And these experiences are my memories. And these memories have projected an ideal. Right? Are you following? Huh? What should be the perfect ideal of womanhood, manhood, godhood, and babyhood, and all the rest of it? What should be? And according to what should be, I act. So there is, in action, there is this division of the past with many experiences and the ideal which is projected from the past of what should be, and acting. So there is in acting this division, right? The past, the future, the present modifying the action. Is that, please, go on. Huh? You're coming, we're sharing this, communicating with each other. Oh no, Darshya, come on, sir. And so there is conflict in that. So action is never complete. It's always, it's an action of association. Huh? Please, right?
But in this, we we do it. I mean, we're always doing it, and our existence is this. And within this, there's a fear to lose an existence. There's a fear.
Look, sir, just look at this action first. Just see this. In this action, there is always division, right? And so, every action brings more conflict, right? More problems, more anxiety or lessons. So it is in that inaction which we do, there is this division. And therefore, in that action, there is conflict, full stop. Now, my mind asks, is there an action which is complete, which is not fragmentary? You understand You've understood my question?
In other words, one that is not a product of the past.
Of the past, future, modified by the present, and so on. Now, is there such action, or is action always fragmentary? And therefore always breeding misery and confusion and all the rest of the horrors that human beings go through.
A moment of spontaneous creation.
Big one?
A moment of spontaneous creation. Or does that mean nothing to you?
I want that word spontaneous is the most dangerous word. Spontaneity can only take place when there is real freedom. So please do listen to this question. I see in myself action which is fragmentary. And therefore, a breeding ground of endless conflict. So I ask myself, is there an action which is not of this quality at all? This action is the action of the world, is the action of me in relationship with the world. Me in relationship with my wife, husband, boss, wherever. This action is the action of the world, of which I am part. Now I am asking myself, is there action which is not of this nature at all?
If they're seeing of the tremendous indulgence of this action.
Yes, sir. Tremendous indulgence, mischief, misery, all of it. Now what shall I do? Please go on. You're all listening and not taking part in this.
Something outside of this world, then.
No. You see, in the moments out of this world, it is a contradiction. It is a division. First of all, do I see, which means you also, do I actually see as clearly as I see the tree and the shadows of that, that action as the action in which we live, which is our life, is this divisive action, past, future, and the modifying present. The past with all its experiences, the ideal which is the result of those experiences, the antithesis of those experiences and memories, And the synthesis between the two is today, which is again modified, and our action is broken up that way all the time. Do I actually see this?
No. I don't think we see.
Why not, sir?
Because if I can use, as you are using the first person, my perceptions of the past and my memories of the past are what I am now. My hopes, my wishes, my ambitions for the future.
Yes, sir. Do you see all that? Do you see it?
Yes, sir, but I think you are, in a way, making discussion very difficult because you use words like divide, fragment, interfering. These are loaded words which you have not yet allowed members of the audience to use.
So we said right at the beginning, or perhaps a little earlier, words divide. Knowing that, we have to use certain words. I come back to this point, do you, not being personal, see this division in action? Actually.
Again, so my answer is no.
You don't see it?
No, sir.
Why not, sir?
Only in the terms that I have just explained. The past and my perception of it are part of me now. The future and my perception of it are part of me now. What I think and what I do are all aspects of me. If I could, for example...
Wait, that's what I mean. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Now, how do you see it? How do you observe it? What is the factor of your observation?
That is a question, sir, which I don't understand and which literally has no meaning for me.
So look, when you look out of the window and look at that tree, there is all this visual factor, light and waves, all the thing that's going on when you look at a tree. Do you look at yourself, that is, this action, as you look at that tree? Completely, objectively, non-emotionally, non-intellectually, you look at that tree. You don't say, how lovely, how beautiful, how ugly, that tree has broken its branches on, all so on, so on, so on. But just look. Now, do you look at yourself, at this fragmentation in action, with that same look? Though it is not a solid thing like a tree, and we are told tree is not solid, but doesn't matter. Do you look at it the same way? So clearly? And if you say, I can't, why not? What's the difficulty? Is it you are afraid to look? And because fear means what might happen if you did look so clearly at yourself, which means you're already projecting the fear. And therefore you're not looking. When you look at that tree, you look. It might fall down, it might hurt you, it might pull this house down, but at the moment you look. Can you look at this, at yourself with that same dispassionate, with an outlook which is not touched at all by what you look at?
Isn't the difficulty the constant activity of the mind? It won't be still.
All right, then what will you do? You have constant activity. If that activity is going on where you are looking, you can't look, which means you are really not interested in looking. Which means you are really not interested in listening to anything. If you are a mother, when you are a child cries, you are there. Baby cries, you are there, aren't you? Whatever you be doing, your attention is there. Why is not this attention here when you have to look at yourself? Why does the mind chatter? Which means you're not really interested in it. And I asked myself, why? Why aren't you interested in it? And this is the greatest problem in life. Why aren't you interested in it?
Still holding on to dear life and the things that it knows.
Everyone?
Because it's holding on to dear life and the things that it knows, the pleasures that it knows.
Madam, don't say these things. I can count. There's no meaning if you don't mind my saying so. You don't do that when you have a baby. The mother says, my God, I have so many things, let it cry. There is
Yes, but that's an extreme circumstance most of the time.
No, madam, don't say all. The fact is you're not interested. Why?
I don't see it as a danger.
Huh?
I don't see it as a danger. That's why I'm interested.
Why not, madam?
Because I'm so completely absorbed in my fragmentation, I can't see I'm on danger.
No, you're not answering the question. Why aren't you interested when the house is burning?
Because I don't know it's burning.
Who's going to tell you?
Nobody.
Huh?
Nobody can tell me I want to.
Therefore, what will you do? Just let the house burn? Your family destroyed? All the rest of it? You don't.
That is most of our problem. We don't see that the house is burning.
This is a stupid country divided by two parties. Don't we see that?
Yes, sir. This two-party or one party in Russia, two parties here, and don't we see this obvious thing? Which means the politicians don't care. Oh.
No real love.
Huh?
No real love.
Madam, yes. Then you go and talk to this politician, no real love. They say, what are you talking about? We want votes.
If we do see anything slightly, we want to escape into something else.
Don't escape, sir. Don't repeat this. Don't escape. Look.
One sees one's escape sometimes.
So the fragmented mind looks at itself, which is fragmented, and it remains fragmented in that seeing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So what will you do? When you look, your look is fragmented. Then what will you do? Don't say it is fragmented and give dozen explanations. What is the next step?
But that perception remains incomplete, remains fragmented. Therefore,
Then you will continue. Then you will continue. Then you will say it's impossible. And therefore, the very impossibility of it destroys your energy.
One doesn't necessarily say that it's impossible, but one remains in an incomplete action.
Yeah, madam, push it more.
That action which is fragmentary, it changes. Your opinion about it changes as whether you should have done this or that. But there is an action, it seems to me, which I would say, I won't use a word at all. There is an action that you'll never question as to whether you should have done that or the other. It was right. It seems to me that that's thinking about it, the first one.
How does that happen?
I don't know, but it happens.
Me, madam.
Because one's pushing to find out. I would go a step further and say one wants to find out an action which is not this action which keeps changing. One wants this different action.
I don't want anything. I want to see, first of all, I realize my actions are fragmentary, therefore destructive, therefore all the rest of it. And in observing this action, one of the fragments is observing it, and therefore it is still fragmentary. And I go round and round that vicious circle. What is the mind to do or not to do to break through? Don't say, well, occasionally I have this.
No.
Discard the fragmented looking altogether.
May I continue with that?
Yes, please, madam, continue.
I'm sorry. The mind has seen that it is fragmentary, and it's seen that this action which follows is an action which is undesirable and must change.
You see...
I'm probably using the wrong words, but what I've got, it's real.
The moment you use the word must, the moment change, we are talking, madam, do please listen. We are saying, asking or inquiring into this question of fragmentation. The mind being fragmented and all its activity being fragmented, broken up. Such a mind can't see the totality of anything. The whole universe, the whole of man, the whole of man's struggle, the entire sorrow of man, all that it can't see. Therefore, it must live without seeing the total. Always in fragment, and therefore always sorrow. Now, can the mind see this whole life as a total movement? That is the question we have begun with, and we're still asking it. What's up?
If you look at the right-hand side of an apple and the left-hand side of an apple, do you refer to those two sides as fragments? If you turn the apple around, the right-hand side and the left-hand side...
No, of course not, sir. It is an apple. It is an apple. You don't say the right side of an apple or the wrong side of an apple.
Or any other object, the right-hand side of anything, any person, the left-hand side. I do not regard my right-hand side as a fragment of myself. I regard it as part. My mind labels, but it does not necessarily fragment. And it does not seem to me that... Okay,
so don't you call yourself... Don't you call yourself an Englishman?
I call myself, first of all, sir, a man.
Yeah, but... Don't you... I'm not talking to you, appealing to you personally, asking you this question. Personally, don't you say I am Protestant, I am a Catholic, I am British, French, apart from the passport and all that stuff, inwardly, don't you feel that?
Of course. Do you call that fragmentation or labeling?
I call that fragmentation.
Then I think so we would have a dispute over terms.
What?
He said we would have a dispute on terms.
No. Sir, look, not dispute on terms, sir, not dispute over words. When I call myself a communist or a Catholic, and I feel it, not just intellectually, but actually a practicing Catholic, with all the belief, with all the implications involved, with Saviour, prayer, the whole of it, confession, obedience. And the communist feels it the same, with the same ardor and with the same passion. There is no relationship. There is a division. And therefore there are teachers' throat. It's not a matter of verbal distinction, it's a matter of profound feeling. I am right and there is God, Jesus is my Saviour, and the other fellow says nonsense. Now can this mind, which knows this fragmentation, communist, Catholic, see the totality of the conditioning? The totality, not just the particular religious conditioning or the non-conditioning and the conditioning of the communists in a different way. See the totality of all conditioning of man. The truth of it, which is the mind, the whole structure is an entity of conditioning. Do I see the whole of it? And therefore the truth of this conditioning. And therefore, when there is conditioning, I cannot possibly see the wholeness of anything.
The difficulty is what you just said is that can you see the conditioning, the wholeness of the conditioning, and then you say, where there is conditioning, how can you possibly see
That's
the
it,
wholeness
sir.
of
Quite
anything?
right.
How can you see the wholeness of the conditioning?
Therefore, I'm asking you, are you aware of your conditioning? If you are aware of your conditioning, as a Catholic, whatever it is, if you are aware of it, then what takes place?
Deconditioning.
Huh?
The end of conditioning. To be aware of conditioning is the end of it.
Is that so actually with you, sir?
I think if I see something deeply...
No, not if. Look, sir, the communist, through his conditioning, through his reading, through Leninism, Marxism, Maoism, and all the rest of it, he's completely convinced. He's conditioned, as the Catholic is conditioned. How can that mind, which includes yours, how can that mind see the whole thing of it, whole nature of this conditioning? It can't, because it's conditioned. Therefore, it has to be aware of its own conditioning. Are you aware of it? If you are aware of it, what is the state of the mind that is looking at the conditioning? Does it want to get rid of it? Does it, all the rest of it? Or does it merely look without any movement of thought.
Seems to be one and the same.
Huh?
It seems to be one and the same.
What is one thing?
The same thing. The conditioning and the person looking at the conditioning just seems to be the same. It doesn't seem to be...
No, please. We said, being aware of one's conditioning, what does that mean? When you are aware of your conditioning, are you aware? Can you look at your conditioning without any movement of thought, any movement of choice? If there is any movement of choice, then it is a movement of fragmentation. Can you look at it that way?
If everything is fragmented because everybody action is fragmented, I won't do anything more. I will just look as it is.
Isn't, when we're speaking, you're speaking about this process where we take our memory and we approach the present with the memory and we change it in regards to our desires of the future. And isn't this process more than, you take the example of the communist or the Catholic, but really in the society today that isn't so strong anymore.
No, but go deeper, sir, that's only very superficial. Yeah. Go deeper. I mean, I took that as an indication of the outward conditioning, but look at it deeper. You'll find out how the mind conditions itself all the time through memory. Therefore, go into it, sir. Find out how the mind is all the time conditioning itself. A prejudice has been formed. I don't like you. That's the conditioning. Because you say something which is not nice to me. You praise me, and you follow, there's a conditioning going on all. Can the mind look at this conditioning without any choice? Not the crude forms of conditioning, which is fairly obvious.
Then such looking couldn't belong to an individual in that case.
Obviously not. Therefore, we have discovered something. Such a look is the total look, and therefore doesn't belong to anybody. It's not your personal, intelligent outlook.
Isn't there still a separation in this?
Beg pardon?
Isn't there still a separation?
What?
Isn't there still a separation?
No, you haven't. Please do listen. Do it. How can there be separation? When the mind looks without any choice, without any movement of choice, where is there separation? In which there is no like and dislike, no prejudice, no commitment. Oh, I won't go to it.
And yet within this, physically, there has to be choice. I mean...
Oh, obvious, sir. Obvious. Don't, you see, that's... What is the time, sir?
5:30.
What?
5:30.
5:10.
5:30. 5:30.
We better stop, don't you? Shall we continue with this tomorrow?